This is the most demanded tropical fruit in the world, due to its pleasant flavor and aroma, as well as its content of vitamin C, B1, B6, folic acid and potassium. They make the pineapple a fruit of high demand in the various markets. The specific variety that we work with here is the MD2 clone. It is also known as the honey gold pineapple or the gold pineapple. It is characterized by having a high average Brix content of 15 degrees Brix, and this is what has characterized it both for consumption fresh, as for industry. Here in Colombia, pineapple crops are distributed mainly in the departments of Santander, Risaralda, Cauca and Valle del Cauca, which is the one to which this crop belongs, located in the municipality of Roldanillo Valle, at an average height of 970 meters above sea level, with an average annual temperature of 28 degrees centigrade, average luminosity of 6 hours of daylight and average rainfall of 1,200 millimeters a year. This crop grows in sandy loam and clay loam soils, with average depths of 60 to 70 centimeters that guarantee the good development of the plant. Good morning, Don Luis. As we did here with the preparation, I see a well-prepared ground. Very good engineer. Yes sir, the machines of the company were brought and a preparation was made, trying to make the land very polished, which is perfect for planting pineapples. The pineapple planting process depends fundamentally on the correct preparation of the land. We work here with soils of medium depth, approximately 60 centimeters of topsoil. Looking first of all, when we are doing all the land preparation processes and the ridges of the land, we can have a soil structure that is easier, that is light and that allows correct planting. We always look for soils that have adequate moisture management. We are not looking for very humid soils or very dry soils. The important thing about this is to provide acceptable conditions for the plant. Although it does not have a very exuberant root, it is important to generate a very good soil for the sowing. You must keep in mind that the alignment in the furrows is important, given that it is also how we manage the applications of fertilizers. What interests us is the uniformity of the crop, and having the respective vigor in each of the states. Yes, sir, we identify with that, we agree, this is how engineer is working. These beds are made 1 meter, 10 centimeters apart, establishing 2 planting lines that are separated by 50 centimeters, and in each line, the distance between plants is 27 centimeters, ensuring a density of 66,300 plants per hectare, basis on which they are based on cultivation. Management for common tasks such as weed control, fertilization, harvest, are greatly hindered if we do not plant at the indicated density. It is very important to take into account here that the seeds that we are choosing, we name Colino, are extracted from plants that are used to extract this material. After harvesting for about 15 to 20 days to 1 month, they do a patching, a cutting. After cutting 20 days a month, one is going to take out their respective seed, and it gives it the ideal weight to have a seed. This is a totally healthy hill, as it is ready for planting. We do the seedbed process right here on the farm and ensure the planting of 3 types of hill ranges. It must be separated what rank 1, rank 2, rank 3, must be very clear, in that sense because the quality of the hill depends on it to get a good harvest. Because from here the whole process begins. Yes, here it is, from here we started well, we finished well. At that time, the company handles 3 types of rank, which is rank 1, rank 2, and its rank 3. Rank 1 is of a weight of 300 to 400 grams, rank 2 of 400 to 500 and rank 3 of 500 to 600. In this case the call and knot that I hold in my hand is a rank 2 hill. We establish these 3 types of ranges and based on these 3 ranges, whose differentiation is more by weight, we make a seating in which for each of these blocks, as seen, it is configured so that only one type of hill range goes. The harvested planting material must be selected and counted according to the type of Colino, for the availability of the seed and the obtaining of sections with uniform plants, which simplify the subsequent work and guarantee a more uniform harvest. It is important to emphasize, because the irrigation system as we see it, we use a tape irrigation system, everything is drip. This irrigation system allows me to guarantee correct soil moisture, is correctly from the ground guarantees that there is adequate moisture management, despite the fact that it is not directly nourished by soil nutrients. But rather the absorption of nutrients makes it more foliar-type characteristics, given morphological situations that the same plant has. Here it is key that we take into account the drainage. Remember that the pineapple, if in the correct drainage, there is a lot of plant mortality. This type of preparation must be very complementary, and it is absolutely necessary that we have a very good system of internal drainage in the lot. This allows me that there is no ponding of water, that there are no places where there is an excess of water that subsequently what it does is affect the roots of the plant and generate a disease known as Phytophthora, which causes a descending death of the plant and is the first enemy of the crop itself. It is a key issue that I have a correct soil preparation, a very good drainage system and a clear characterization of each one of the hills or seeds, as one could also say, so that I can bring it here and ensure that phase of the process that is sowing. These are like the 3 fundamental pillars that we highlight for pineapple planting, without which we cannot ensure a complete result. According to the last pest and disease evaluation report, we have a low incidence of symphilids and Phytophthora. For that we program some applications in the month. How are we going there, Mr. Luis? According to the technical part, these applications are being rigorously carried out. This means that we have these fairly low incidences. We are in a culture of approximately 19 weeks. Currently for each interval of approximately every 2 weeks we carry out foliar fertilizations. These nutritional tasks, as I mentioned every 2 weeks, are often interspersed with other products that are insecticides, especially for the control of symphilids. Especially, applications are also made for disease management. Such as we have mentioned, Phytophthora is very limiting in this phase of cultivation. The symphalids belong to the order of arthropods. This pest develops throughout the crop cycle, but its greatest affectation occurs in the first months. For this it is important to have an adequate management of the humidity of the plantation, as well as the development of the Phytophthora disease is very common to be found on the edges of the plantation and in areas where there are drainage problems and water accumulation. It has rained a lot, we must bear in mind, suddenly if it rains a lot, an additional application by Phytophthora, because you know that the humidity begins to concentrate a lot and we begin to see plant deaths. Since if suddenly we have the drainage system and everything. But you have to manage this, you know, more preventively, because when we get sick we can't do much. It is also key, and for this reason, the use of plastic mulch, that we are controlling the issue of weeds. The weeds here tend to be scarce given the density of the plants, but it is usual that we see in some plantations plants that we wish. These plants, the truth is, many times they are hosts of pests or diseases that at some point can limit the plant. Although we are always searching, locating our plants in a suitable area of the land, we always have cases in which there are depressions in the land, in which more water accumulates. In this type of depression it is usual to see precisely plants that present yellowing, and it is here where root diseases such as Phytophthora can most often be found, or Fusarium. So it is important that all the practices that go into the management of these diseases, those of fungicides, those of drainage, be carried out with the seriousness that must be done, fully complying with all this, so that this is the minimum. Today we have a percentage of incidents that exceed 3% of Phytophthora, and the ideal is to have 0. But one can withstand a maximum of 5% of incidence of the disease, which may be the most logical thing in terms of plant. How has the harvesting process been? Engineer from week 22 after being forced to the plants and we start harvesting. Initially we do a tour every other day in that first week, and then from week 23 higher volumes are coming until week 25, we have an average. The harvest is done daily in this lot. I don't know about crops, and on average one person in the day labor must harvest more or less 1,000 kilos. For each person, logically, this harvest must be harvested every day, to avoid ripening that we are going to be rejected by buyers. It is important that we are up to date with the handling of the key. Then what do we induce after the 5th, 6th week? Because it is limiting, you know that the butterfly touches the fruit, and if it touches the fruit we lose it, because that is where any other disease. In this harvesting process, it is important to bear in mind that it is progressive and occurs for a maximum of 3 to 4 weeks. In the middle of these 3 to 4 weeks, the daily root of each one of the blocks and plants that we have induced, this assures me that at no time does the fruit escape me due to a strict question of ripening. When I check each of the fruits for ripening, we always take them from the crown, and based on an inclination that we give it, we see how much percentage yellowing brings the base of the fruit up. Based on that percentage of maturation is that we decide to harvest it or not. The harvest is a key aspect for the quality of the pineapple that is going to be marketed. Before starting the work, the harvest manager must be clear about the characteristics of the fruit to be harvested that day and communicate it to his work team. The pickers must decide which fruits to harvest, following the indications regarding appearance, color and size. The pickers carry out their work along the furrows. Detach the fruit from the plant manually, taking it by the base of the crown and bending towards its body until the peduncle breaks. Good morning, Mrs. Francis. How have you been? How did you see the harvest today? Good, Luis. Please tell me, more or less, what is the average fruit today? In size, it is quite large, more or less 1 to 2 kilos. Well, very well. Do you have a basket for the day today? Yes, sir. Yes, there, we have enough. Tell me, how was the harvest yesterday? Don Luis always made us about 300 baskets. That's about 4,300 kilos, that's pretty good. And today, how do you see it? I think we're going with the same thing. Suddenly, I think a little more, because the little water and the little sun always help him a lot. You take advantage of it a lot. Exactly. Well, very well, I'm glad you feel good. Do you have the harvesting equipment? The gloves, the apron. I am glad to have greeted you, and any concerns please let me know immediately, thank you. I love pineapple, it has a delicious flavor. Apart from the benefits it has, here in the field when it is already mature, that is, if we take advantage of it, we can eat a little pineapple among those of us who are harvesting. From this here my son got ahead, already working here, in the companies and my daily livelihood. And yes, I have a lot to be thankful for, maybe in the future a little house and thus not have to pay rent. That the project continues. That no, they are going to stop it, because for me and for many people this is the sustenance. It is good to clarify that in this type of pineapple MD2 or gold or honey gold, it is generally preferred that it have a completely yellow coloration. This is good, let's say clarify it, because despite the fact that in grade 1 being green as can be seen visually, in grade 2 that have a yellow percentage, we have a pineapple that is organoleptically edible. It is important to demystify this issue of maturation. That we see right now the pulp with the yellow characteristics, which are generally the ones that already notice consumption. For that I ask the favor of Luis Carlos, collaborate with us in this practice, to be able to really understand what we are explaining. This is a sample of precisely what we are ratifying. Our ideal here in production is that we are in a range of 90 to 110 tons per hectare. This only if it is guaranteed, with proper management in the field, obviously also proper management in the post-harvest warehouse, in which to carry out the appropriate treatment. Therefore, all the management that entails must be given so that the final customer is satisfied. When we are talking about this, How much maturation is the client demanding, and according to this also the presentation that the client wants. Here in post-harvest, the process begins with the weighing of the pineapple, for inventory control and to monitor the productivity of each one of the batches. The fruit is transported to the selection lines, which are responsible for the elimination of the fruits that do not meet the quality requirements of the buyer, to then carry out the classification work, whether it is select quality, juicy or industrial. Finally comes the process of packing each of the fruits in baskets, crates or cardboard boxes. The packaging does not define the quality of the fruit, but rather it is given according to the customer's requirement. We use a variety called MD2 pineapple. This has a special condition which is completely green in its rind, at its optimum ripening point. In the case of sweetness, we measure it commercially with Brix degrees. Our pineapple has an average between 14 and 18 Brix degrees. Being one of the highest in percentage of sugar in the market, depending on the client's requirement because it is desired in a visual and cultural way, that the pineapple has a yellow tone, that occurs after more or less 3 to 4 days of harvest, and what it emphasizes is that there is already a high ripening process. The pineapple begins to ripen at the base, and our optimum point of consumption and which we recommend to our clients is with the first ring of ripening, after the second-third ring. And the pineapple begins to have a process of senescence, and then the optimal quality characteristics that we can guarantee as grajales are altered and can prevent their commercialization process. Ion, thus having a product on the market that has a quality nonconformity. The physiological conditions of the fruits are an important factor in the processes of commercialization, and what is meant here is that this still green pineapple has a ripeness suitable for consumption, with a sweetness, acidity, Brix degrees, texture, weight and a color that complies with what is established by national and international standards.